To meet you here in Avia. We had an extremely productive meeting in Washington last year, and since then we have given new speed and new energy to our relations, and we are working together on a number of areas.
और हमारे लिए खुशी की बात है कि हमारी दोनों टीमें भी मिलजुल करके हमने जो टारगेट तय किए उसको पूरा करने के लिए भरपूर प्रयास कर रहे हैं और हम बहुत तेजी से आगे बढ़ रहे हैं.
And we are also happy that our teams have also been working in close coordination and engagement, and they have been working towards achievement of the targets that we had set for ourselves last year.
एक्सेलेंसी, पश्चिम एशिया में शांति के जो प्रयास में प्रगति हुई है, इसके लिए मैं आपका अभिनंदन करता हूं.
Mr. President, I commend you for your leadership on the progress that has been made in the efforts to restore peace in West Asia.
आपके इन प्रयासों के कारण पश्चिम एशिया में शांति की एक नई किरण नजर आ रही है और हम आशा करते हैं कि चिरस्थायी शांति बनेगी.
Thanks to your efforts, Mr. President, new hope for peace and stability in the region has been rekindled, and I'm confident that this will lead to a long-standing peace in the region.
एक्सेलेंसी, आप और हम सभी इस बात से सहमत हैं कि हॉर्मुज का खुला रहना एक वैश्विक अर्थव्यवस्था के लिए बहुत ही अनिवार्य है.
Mr. President, you and I agree that keeping the Strait of Hormuz open is vital for the global economy.
एक्सेलेंसी, हम हमेशा कहते रहे हैं कि फ्रीडम ऑफ नेविगेशन सुनिश्चित होना चाहिए और इस पर हम सब ने मिलकर के बल देना चाहिए.
India has consistently emphasized the importance of ensuring freedom of navigation, and we should work together and place a particular emphasis on that.
एक्सेलेंसी, आप जानते हैं कि मैरिटाइम ट्रेड की दुनिया में भारत के लाखों सीफेरर्स आज दुनिया के अलग अलग समुद्र में अपनी सेवाएं दे रहे हैं, विश्व की प्रगति में बहुत बड़ा योगदान दे रहे हैं और मैं समझता हूं कि उनकी सुरक्षा भी उतना ही महत्वपूर्ण है.
Mr. President, you are aware across the world, Indian seafarers in hundreds of thousands are working and they're performing their duties across global maritime trade routes, including the Strait of Hormuz, and their safety is of utmost importance to us.
एक्सेलेंसी, समझौते के लिए शांति के प्रयासों में आपने भरपूर प्रयास किया है. मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि समझौते में सीफेरर की सुरक्षा भी सुनिश्चित होगी और उसको प्राथमिकता मिलेगी.
Mr. President, you made tremendous efforts towards reaching this understanding and this agreement, and I'm confident that the issue of seafarers will receive the highest priority during the implementation of this agreement.
एक्सेलेंसी, मैं फिर एक बार पश्चिम एशिया में शांति बहाल कराने के आपके भरसक प्रयासों का मैं पूरी प्रशंसा करता हूं और आपका अभिनंदन करता हूं.
Mr. President, once again, I deeply appreciate and I deeply commend your efforts in ensuring the restoration of peace and making efforts towards restoration of peace and stability in West Asia.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Friends, thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. President. We just heard the Prime Minister praise your efforts, peace efforts in the Middle East.
Thank you.
Do you think you can carry the momentum from the Iran deal over to securing an end to the war in Ukraine? And can you tell us about your conversations with President Zelensky here at the G7?
Well, I had very good talks with President Zelensky and with President Putin, and we'd like to see that one end. I ended 8 wars, and to be honest with you, I thought this would have been one of the easier ones, but they're not liking each other too much, and that makes it much more difficult. But we're working. I had 2 good conversations with President Zelensky and with President Putin.
Will you let them build U.S. missiles or Europe manufacture missiles, American missiles?
They would like to be able to do that. We'll take a look at it. They have asked about it. Steve?
How close are you to a U.S.-India trade deal?
Very close. We've been there for a little while, and he's a very tough negotiator. He's one of the toughest, actually. So you look at this man. I'll give you a lesson. He's the most beautiful-looking man. He looks so nice. He's like an angel. But actually, he's as tough as he's a killer. I don't want to. He's a killer. He's as tough as they come. But he looks so good. So he gets you by surprise. But there's few people like this. People say he's such a nice man. I said no, he's very tough. He's a tough trader, and he loves the Indian people, but he also loves the USA. We had Howdy Modi in Houston, remember?
And
The stadium was full.
Namaste Trump.
Right, remember that?
He did Namaste Trump in India.
That was great. And we'll be going to India sometime in the future.
President Trump, when will you go to India and how do you see Quad as well? This is a grouping that was started under your first term, and this is a grouping that all the four countries are looking forward to.
Well, we had a great visit last time in India. We opened up that new stadium, and I think there were 400,000 people. It seated like about 150,000, and there were 250,000 outside, and there were 100,000 on the grass. That was, I don't know if that record's ever been broken, but I had a great time in India.
Do you expect India to play any role in West Asia? I'm Siddhant from
Say it.
Do you expect India to play any role in West Asia?
Yeah, I do. I think India plays a big role in everything. As long as he's the leader, India's going to play a big role.
You said many times that India has a great friend in United States, in Washington, D.C., in White House, till the time you are president. But some of your decisions recently caused trouble, concern in India. How would you like to assure people of India?
Well, I said it. As long as I'm president, we have they have a great friend in the White House. I don't know where there might have been a trouble, but I don't think so. I can tell you, everyone here, they love India. They have tremendous respect for this man. Tremendous. Go ahead, ma'am.
Are there going to be sanctions that are going to be reimposed on Russia now that the focus has once again been shifted to the Ukraine-Russia war?
We are looking at that. We're seeing how far the price of oil comes down. It's really tumbling. It's, I guess, 74, 75 right now. So it's down. It's soon going to be at the number that it was 4 months ago. It's pretty amazing. And on top of that, we will have an Iran without a nuclear weapon, which I can tell you the Prime Minister feels very strongly about that, too.
What is Mr. President hear from European or G7 leaders?
They were to a leader, and we had G7 plus many others came, as you know. To a leader, they were thrilled. They could not have been happier. Well, this gentleman came, and that's a big get. He came, and they could not even believe that it happened. It happened quickly. But it really didn't happen quickly. It's been happening for a long time. It's been happening from my first term, when a very evil man named Soleimani was killed. That's when it started. And nobody else did this but Trump. You know, you look at our president, 47 years, Iran took advantage of the world, the Middle East, but the world. Nobody did anything. The Obama deal was one of the dumbest deals I've ever seen. It was a road to a nuclear weapon. My deal is a wall to a nuclear. You're not going to have it. It's a wall to a nuclear weapon.
On minesweepers, do you want the Europeans to send minesweeper votes? Did you talk about
We don't need them, but if they want to send them, I think it's good.
Has anyone committed to helping out?
Yes, all of them. All of them.
Which nations?
The ones that have that kind of equipment have. But every one of them have committed to being involved in some form.
And at this point, do you feel that Vladimir Putin is more responsible for the ongoing conflict in Ukraine?
Well, I don't want to comment on that because I'm trying to get it settled, and that doesn't make it easy.
Mr. President, you're on the cusp of making history with the possible peace in the Iran conflict.
I like this guy. Who is he? Do you know who that is? Your reporters are much nicer than my reporters. Go ahead.
But there is also a tragic loss of lives of Indian sailors recently, sir, in American strikes. Any words of condolences for the grieving families, sir?
Yeah, I do. I heard about that. It's a rough profession. There's no question about it. And we work together on it. This has been happening throughout time, but we work together on it. Yeah, certainly. We love all of those people. They're great people. Yeah, please.
How long do you expect Bill Pulte to be acting DNI?
Well, as long as it takes to get everybody else approved. I mean, they were doing a rush act, and we didn't get anything for it. Look, he's a very legitimate guy. He's very smart. He's a brilliant guy. Look at the job he did at Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac. I mean, it's worth probably $1 trillion right now. So we put him there, but all of a sudden it was like a rush act by the Democrats. And they said they were going to approve FISA. And I said, but we want FISA approved, but we want the Save America Act approved. Voter ID, proof of citizenship, no mail-in ballots, with exceptions, like for the military, you're sick, you're traveling, disabled. Very, open and generous. We also want no men playing in women's sports, so we want no transgender mutilization of our children. None. Those are 5 things that are 99% that's all we want. It's not a lot. The Save America Act. And that can be passed any way they want to pass it, but I'm not going to sign FISA unless it's done. And this was like a rush act. And it was a rush act by the Democrats. All of a sudden they want to get, and why are they afraid of this guy? I mean, they're so afraid of him, they'll do anything not to have Pulte go in there. He's a very capable guy, and they're worried about that.
Mr. President, Mr. President,
yes, ma'am, please.
You said the deal, the Iran deal, the text is still being finalized. How confident are you that this Friday signing will happen?
You're talking about this one, on the deal? Deals are amazing. I've done them all my life. I've gone into deals that were 100% and they don't happen. I've gone into deals that there was no chance of getting them done, and it happens, and they happen easily. So you never know with deals, do you? But you're going to find out pretty soon. I think it'll be done. They want to sign. They want to get back to a normal life. We hit them very hard. Don't forget, people talk about when this started. This didn't start 3-4 months ago. This started years ago when I took out Soleimani. That was a big event. There are those that say it was the biggest event in the Middle East in 50 years. So we took him out, and they became a much different country. And then I terminated the JCPOA. That's Barack Hussein Obama's horrible deal that gave them a nuclear weapon. And I terminated it, and I stopped it. And then I stopped it a second time with the B-2 bombers. And these are all major events in the history of the world, in my opinion, because it prevented them from having a nuclear weapon. And now we're going to do it again, and we're going to see how it works out. So this is a memorandum of understanding, but it's a very strong one. This isn't just like a 2-paragraph. This is a long, pretty detailed memorandum that goes into a regular contract. I would think they would do it. If they don't, then that's okay. We'll have to start the process again. And we don't lose. We have the greatest military in the world. We had the greatest blockade. The naval blockade was 100% effective. And again, they have no Navy, they have no Air Force, all bombed out. I don't want to say the leaders, but first level of leader, gone. Second level of leaders, gone. Some of the third level of leaders, gone. And they want to make a deal. They are so ready to make a deal. Yeah. But you know what?
President Trump, can you speak to the tense relationship between India and the United States? Sorry, I'm speaking, I won't.
That's okay.
Can you speak to the defense relationship between India and the United States?
I think it's a great relationship. I can tell you this, without having a contract, we don't have a contract, you'd have to write contract. But if they were attacked, we would be there to help them. How is that? Is that a good statement? Okay, come here, man. If anybody attacks that man, we're going to be there. Now, if there's a new leader, I'm not sure about it. Okay. If there's a new leader, I don't know about that. But if they're attacked and he's the leader, we're going to be there to help. And we have, and I will say this, and everybody says it. I had a great meeting 3 weeks ago with President Xi of China. We have the strongest military in the world by far, and I built it in my first term, and we're using it in my second term, and they gave some of it away stupidly in Afghanistan, as you know, and they spent a lot on Ukraine, $350 billion, but we have the most powerful military in the world. You saw that with Venezuela, which was 48 minutes, and now our relationship with Venezuela is great. We've paid for the cost of the war 40 times, taking millions of barrels out. Venezuela's benefiting, we're benefiting, Venezuela's benefiting, and then we go to Iran, and really in the first week, militarily, we defeated Iran. Nobody thought that could be done. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, do you want Israel to halt its military campaign?
No, I want Israel to be able to protect himself, but I do want them to use good judgment.
President Trump, can we expect a highly skilled Indian professional to be getting more opportunities in the United States under your presidency?
What does that mean? What?
Well, highly skilled professionals to get more opportunities here in the US.
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, always.
Yeah.
We've always had tremendous relationships in terms of employment with India. Very talented people.
You've seen European leaders interact very warmly with you at the summit. Do you think that they're coming around to your worldview?
Well, I think they think I was right. I'm sort of always right. You know, when you get right down to it, I think they think I was right. They feel good. Now all of a sudden they all want to be involved. There's no reason to have them because it's pretty much over. But they all want to be involved. He'd be involved if I wanted, but we don't want to waste his time or his people. No, the European leaders, the meeting we had today was just the leaders. I don't even say the European, the leaders that we had met with. In addition to the 7, we had quite a few come in. They all were willing to get involved. Thank you. Thank you. We had a great meeting on AI. We had all the top people here, and it was a great meeting. And as you know, we're building tremendous numbers of plants, but AI, we're building the biggest in the world. We're #1 in AI by a lot, and it was a very productive.
How's it going with the negotiations with Anthropic?
He was here. Going fine. I think it's going fine.
Energy cooperation. How do you see energy cooperation? India is diversifying, buying more energy from across the world, including United States, and it's enhanceable from beyond. How do you see India buying energy from you?
India can do anything they want with us. We have the best relationship. We cannot be closer than we are. Would you say that, sir? I don't think we can be any closer. Both him and I and our nations, but it really starts with the two of us. We cannot be closer. Thank you very much.
The world's biggest sporting spectacular is finally here. From breathtaking goals to unforgettable drama. Get closer to every match, every story, and every turning point in this tournament. Catch the latest updates, expert analysis, and match highlights here on NewsX World.
Hello and welcome. I'm Rashawn Gidwani and you are watching NewsX World. We're starting with the G7 summit that is currently happening in Evian-les-Bains, France. Of course, we do have our correspondent and senior editor from NewsX World at the bilateral meeting between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Donald Trump from the United States. And of course, our senior editor got to ask President Trump a question. And of course, we witness this meeting between both of these nations' leaders. And of course, it seemed like it was a very productive meeting as they both discuss how both of them have a very strong relationship with one another. Some of the highlights from that meeting, of course, were the fact that there was a Modi Day in Houston and a Namaste Trump Day in India as well. President Trump seemed extremely optimistic about the fact that when it comes down to skilled professionals working in the United States as well, then that would be a welcome, essentially, addition to the United States of America. Now, essentially, we will be speaking with more guests here on NewsX World to uncover how they essentially view this meeting, and we will be throwing to them shortly. But let me just tell you more, just a recap between this meeting between PM Narendra Modi and President Donald Trump from the United States. Essentially, they're now at the G7 summit, and like I just mentioned, our senior editor Megha Sharma asked President Donald Trump a question. We will have a clip of that up on our YouTube channel at NewsX World on YouTube. So essentially, if you'd like to replay that back, you can stream that. And of course, we will be uploading more of these news developments from the G7 summit. As I just mentioned, our senior editor is on the scene, on the ground at Evian-les-Bains, covering the G7 summit, which has been running from the 15th of June till the 17th of June 2026. And of course, we just saw this meeting between PM Modi and President Donald Trump, where they discussed all the latest developments in geopolitics. For example, one journalist asked President Donald Trump what he thought about Israel defending itself and whether or not he would be able to essentially help them with regards to Lebanon and, of course, the developments with West Asia as well. And Trump just mentioned that, of course, it comes down to good judgment, which is essentially what he reflected on as far as Ukraine and Russia are concerned as well. And now on screen, we can see the PM Narendra Modi of India essentially speaking with President Donald Trump. And President Donald Trump mentioned many times that, of course, with this sort of leader at the helm of India, then it just makes connections and bilateral trade with India a lot easier, as they do have a very strong relationship between the two. And of course, that signals that when it comes down to trade between India and the United States of America, that it will become easier to do that, as both of these nations have now again at the G7 summit solidified their relationship. And like I just mentioned not too long ago, we will be inviting some guests onto NewsX World to essentially get their take on this meeting between President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi of India. As we can see on the screen, both of these leaders are at the G7 summit in France in Evian-les-Bains, and of course they are discussing how they can continue to work together toward a stronger relationship. Here are some of the highlights from Indian PM Modi. He essentially believes that there is a stronger sense of safety toward Indian seafarers and that it is critical. And he also mentioned that it is vital to ensure the safety of Indian seafarers and that they will be given priority in a peace understanding. And Trump essentially stated that they are very close on an India trade deal. And now, to shed more light on this is Ambassador Mahesh Sachdev, former Indian diplomat, joining us live from New Delhi to tell us more. Ambassador, thank you so much for joining us here on NewsX World. What's your take on this meeting between PM Narendra Modi and President Donald Trump? What more can you tell us, please?
Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be with you. I think it's an important question, but I would reserve my judgment a bit. There were good optics, the replies were charming, and there was a lot of flattery involved by Mr. Trump in praise of India and Indian Prime Minister specifically. Bond between him and Prime Minister Modi was for all to witness and endorse. But then we have been there before. Mr. Trump alternates between flattery and hard steps. So we need to keep our balance. And I think Prime Minister has at least optically, maintained a positive attitude during the interaction with the press that was public. And we have been fairly resolute with regard to the things that we would like to be done, including sailors' safety and navigation through Strait of Hormuz, etc. What I also found a bit interesting is that President Trump said that India does have a role in West Asia, and we'll have to see how does it go. And we would, I think he has also talked about a defense relationship, and on his own, almost rhetorically and airily said that if this man is attacked, that is Mr. Modi, he would be there to on his side. So all that put together as a thrilling piece of theater, but we'll have to see where the reality sort of takes us. We we'll get to know in a week's time when Trade Representative Mr. Geer is here to negotiate the nitty-gritty of the trade agreement. And that is where we could perhaps think in terms of the positivity of this relationship being restored.
Now, Ambassador, when it comes down to maintaining diplomacy and, of course, these sorts of relationships, what are the key ingredients that go into these sort of relationships? What more can you tell us based on your experience?
Thank you. Flattery won't get you very far with me. But I should say that there is soft and hard code of diplomacy. The soft diplomacy is what is public, what Mr. Trump has done so well, what even our Prime Minister has done reasonably well, camouflaging their differences and talking about positivity and accomplishments during past year and 4 months. Relationship has, as we all know, has passed through a turbulent phase, not of India's making, but then putting a positive spin is something that that is better suited in such public events. When it comes to hard diplomacy, I think we need to be proportionate to the stimuli, and our reaction should be firm and articulate the national interest. I think this is where some observers would like India to have been a bit more strategically autonomous and consider only by the litmus test of where does our interest lie. And we live in a tough neighborhood within South Asia, and West Asia is on the boil, with which we have very strong relationship in terms of oil, in terms of Indian diaspora, remittances, etc. So India needed to be slightly more equidistant in this particular turbulence of, during the period. And I think we have learned by the experience that it doesn't pay to be quiet on certain things, and our reaction to the killing of Indian sailors shows that we do have the capacity to talk back and be counted as someone, as a country that minds its own interests in the last analysis. Thank you.
Right, Ambassador, essentially when it comes down to national interests of India as a whole, what's your take on what the consensus is right now? Do you believe that it is essentially finding a resolution to the West Asian crisis, finding employment in the United States? What more can you tell us?
I think that is where some domestic turbulence lies. The government apparently believes that discretion is better part of the value. Unnecessary statements, as they see it, against United States could cause further disruption in the bilateralism. As apparently talking to Mr. Trump about he having no role in peacemaking between India and Pakistan, riled up the gentleman into all sort of things, and the relations became a bit tenuous. That was the national interest part. But then some other would like to argue that national interest need to be seen purely as where does India benefit or lose. And in that particular game, I think what we do in West Asia is important. It's a binary. We cannot straddle both sides. We have to be slightly more nationalistic. And I think Iran, for example, the way its leadership was decapitated, the way the school bombing killed nearly 170 schoolgirls, and so on and so forth. And India's silence on that particular issue came back to haunt us when navigation in Strait of Hormuz was banned by Iran. So, and we have to reconfigure and get back to Iranians, etc. So, all that goes to show that it's a dynamic situation, and we need to anticipate and we need to keep our options open in terms of our national interests being impinged upon. I think it will also be a realization that the national interest pursuance is a fairly complex task, and it requires amassing various cards that can be utilized. China's rare earth card, for example, silenced the United States, and the tariffs imposed had to be sort of clawed back because Chinese threatened with a rare earth ban that could have hurt America fairly badly. So having those kind of cards enables you to take a more firm diplomatic stand, and amassing these cards vis-a-vis multiple stakeholders that we need to talk or negotiate with is an art that can only be mastered over a period of time. It requires coherent policies. It requires domestic congregation of between economic, cultural, and diplomatic and other interests being subsumed into the national interest. So all that would require India to have a more dynamic, more futuristic policy, but at the same time, we should have at whatever level, through MEA or through PMO or through other bodies, a capacity to corral our interests together. In some areas, we may not be able to sort of, if we take it piecemeal, some business interests are going to cry foul. But if we take national interest in a wider sense, that becomes defensible, that becomes a powerful strategy. Meaning you can imagine the people who produce rare earth in China would have been appalled, would have protested the ban on exports. Many technological companies want to invest in India, want to supply equipment to India from China, would have protested, would have demonstrated to Chinese putting a ban on supply of high-tech goods to India. But then country has to take a call and people have to fall in line. Similarly, we need to have such a mechanism from where we can coordinate our national interest in a better, in a more wholesome manner.
Right. Ambassador, please stay with us. We'll be right back with you. Meanwhile,